The sound of shattering glass still echoed in Elise Turner's ears as the tension in the room shifted dramatically. Her daughter, Sophie, knelt on the floor, tears streaming down her cheeks. Before anyone could react, a sharp voice erupted, accusing Sophie of a wrongdoing she had not committed. In an instant, a hand flew through the air and struck Sophie's cheek with a force that silenced the room. The resounding slap left a vivid red mark on her delicate skin. Elise's heart pounded as she watched Sophie gasp, her tear-filled eyes silently pleading for protection. Elise Turner, a 34-year-old woman known for her quiet strength, usually began her weekends with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the gentle hum of her 10-year-old daughter Sophie drawing pictures in the living room. Today, however, carried a heavy burden. An invitation to her sister Cassandra's baby shower had forced Elise to return to family gatherings, an event she had avoided since her divorce 3 years ago. The painful memories of her mother Lorraine's harsh words still lingered. Claims that Elise was unworthy of custody and a constant reminder that she was never truly part of the family. The invitation promised both reunion and heartache. As Sophie skipped into the kitchen, she held out a small gift box wrapped by her own careful hands. "Do you think Aunt Cassandra's baby will like this?" she asked in an innocent tone. Elise forced a smile and reassured her. "They're going to love it, sweetie." Deep down, Elise knew that Sophie's pure heart deserved far more than the cold stares she would receive from relatives. The gift, a box tied with a soft pink ribbon, symbolized a hope for acceptance, even as Elise braced herself for the chilling reception that the upcoming baby shower might bring. With the pink ribbon tied neatly on the gift, Elise's mind wandered back to the many times Lorraine had dismissed Sophie, as though the child were invisible. Since Cassandra's pregnancy, Lorraine had grown obsessively protective of her own future baby. Every conversation seemed to revolve around Cassandra's health and preparations, while Sophie and Elise were relegated to the background. The memory of Lorraine's cutting words and subtle sneers resurfaced, deepening Elise's sorrow. Yet she steeled herself. She knew that for Sophie's sake, she must face the gathering, even if it meant confronting old wounds and bitter family dynamics. The drive to the Grand Hotel was quiet but heavy with anticipation. Sophie chatted excitedly in the back seat, unaware of the storm brewing in Elise's heart. With every mile, Elise's pulse quickened, and she tried to convince herself that the day might not be as painful as she feared. Still, an uneasy feeling clung to her, as if an unseen tempest was gathering force. Memories of past family gatherings, filled with cold glances and whispered judgments, mixed with the hope of creating new, happier moments for Sophie. Elise silently vowed to shield her daughter from the cruelty that had once marred her own past. Arriving at the Grand Hotel, Elise and Sophie entered a lavish banquet room adorned with marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and staff in tailored uniforms. The air smelled of vanilla and fresh flowers, while pink and gold balloons floated overhead, and the words "Welcome Baby" shimmered above the gift table. As Sophie's eyes widened in wonder at the decorations, Elise's gaze drifted across the room. There, near a quiet corner, stood Lorraine, elegant in a grey dress and pearl necklace, but with an unmistakably cold, calculating expression. It was as if Lorraine sensed Elise's disapproval and met her with a steely glare. Cassandra, now visibly pregnant and glowing in a pastel maternal dress, waved warmly at Elise and Sophie. With a brief, cordial hug and a gentle squeeze for Sophie, Cassandra welcomed them. For a moment, the tension seemed to recede. However, before the warmth could last, Lorraine interjected sharply, "Don't crowd Cassandra," her tone dismissive as she regarded Sophie as an unwelcome distraction. The command was delivered with a venomous edge, and Elise's stomach tightened. It was clear that Lorraine's presence was not benign. Her every word carried the weight of hidden malice and a calculated desire to belittle. As guests began arriving, the room filled with relatives, friends, and church members. Lorraine moved among them with practiced ease, introducing Cassandra as if she were royalty while simultaneously casting disdainful glances at Sophie. Elise noticed Lorraine whispering to a hotel staff member. Her trembling fingertips and furtive looks hinted at a secret plan. A sinking feeling settled in Elise's chest. Something was amiss. Despite the festive music and clinking glasses, an undercurrent of manipulation swirled around Lorraine. Elise's instincts told her that the day's events were being orchestrated to humiliate her daughter and tarnish what little warmth remained in the family. Moments later, Sophie, in her usual cheerful manner, decided to help by bringing a glass of lemonade to Cassandra. With her bright eyes and steady determination, she carefully poured lemonade from the drink table. However, as she made her way toward Cassandra, a staff member's foot brushed against Sophie's small foot. In a tragic instant, Sophie lost her balance. The glass slipped, shattering on the pristine carpet. Lemonade splashed everywhere, and Sophie fell to her knees. The scene slowed as onlookers gasped, and Elise's heart clenched at the sight of her daughter's vulnerable, tearful expression. Before anyone could reach Sophie, a cruel slap cut through the chaos. Lorraine's hand struck Sophie's cheek with a resounding, harsh sound that silenced the room. The blow left a red mark that bloomed instantly against her soft skin. Sophie staggered back, clutching her face, and tears mingled with shock in her eyes. Elise's rage flared as she lunged forward, gathering her trembling daughter into her arms. In that moment, the once celebratory atmosphere turned bitter and accusatory, as whispers spread among the guests and judgmental stares pierced the fragile veil of normalcy. Amid the murmurs and shocked gasps, a hotel staff member bent down and retrieved a damp, pink envelope from beneath the table. He examined it curiously before announcing that it did not seem to belong there. Elise's eyes widened as the envelope trembled in his hand, a subtle but ominous detail that drew the attention of nearby guests. The envelope's appearance, marked by slight water stains, seemed out of place in the otherwise pristine setting. As curiosity and suspicion rippled through the room, Elise felt a mounting dread that the envelope might reveal a hidden conspiracy behind the cruel events unfolding that day. The security manager, a tall man in a black suit with a sharp gaze, stepped forward and accepted the envelope from the staff member. With deliberate care, he opened it and unfolded neatly folded papers. At the top, elegant cursive handwriting caught everyone's attention. It was unmistakably Lorraine's. The handwritten instructions detailed staff coordination and specific directions to ensure a disturbance during the baby shower. As the security manager read aloud, the room fell silent in shock. The revelation was clear. Lorraine had orchestrated the chaos. Cassandra's eyes filled with tears, and even Elise's heart pounded with a mix of fury and sorrow at the calculated cruelty. The security manager's announcement sent a ripple of disbelief through the assembled guests. Lorraine's face went pale, and her trembling hands betrayed her previously controlled demeanor. She lunged forward in an attempt to snatch the papers back, but was swiftly blocked by two hotel staff members. The manager continued, his voice steady and cold, explaining that the evidence clearly implicated Lorraine in a deliberate plot to humiliate Sophie and disgrace Elise. As murmurs of shock grew louder, Cassandra looked on in horror while Peter, her husband, knelt beside her offering water. The carefully constructed facade of a perfect family was crumbling in front of everyone. Fueled by a surge of anger and protective instinct, Elise's voice rang out as she confronted Lorraine. "You planned this, didn't you?" she demanded, her tone trembling with fury. Accusations spilled forth that Lorraine had deliberately set Sophie up to fail, to humiliate her in front of the entire family. Lorraine's attempts at denial faltered under the weight of the damning evidence. The security manager's tablet displayed the hotel security footage, confirming the orchestrated scheme. With every detail laid bare, it became evident that Lorraine's actions were premeditated. The room bristled with tension as Elise vowed to protect her daughter and expose the betrayal for all to see. As the confrontation intensified, the security manager announced that the police were on their way. Guests exchanged nervous glances and hushed whispers, their expressions a mix of pity and judgment. Cassandra's face contorted with sorrow as she clutched her belly, while Peter's protective stance solidified. Elise, still holding Sophie tightly, declared that she would not allow anyone to harm her child again. The arrival of the police signaled a turning point in the day's unfolding drama. In that charged moment, the veneer of a festive baby shower shattered completely, leaving only raw pain and the promise of accountability hanging in the air. The police officers entered the banquet hall, their presence commanding immediate attention. They approached the security manager, who handed over the pink envelope and the digital footage from the hotel's cameras. Lorraine, her once cold demeanor now replaced by desperation, was escorted toward the exit by uniformed officers. The room fell into a heavy, shocked silence as guests processed the gravity of the situation. Cassandra's anguished whispers and Peter's silent, pained gaze underscored the severity of the betrayal. Elise's resolve hardened as she cradled Sophie, determined that this moment would mark the beginning of healing and justice for their fractured family. After the police had taken Lorraine away, the remaining guests gradually dispersed, leaving behind a quiet murmur of disbelief and sorrow. Elise gathered Sophie close, her arms a protective shield against the lingering hurt. In a corner, Cassandra softly wept, torn between loyalty and betrayal, while Peter offered gentle reassurances. The incident had exposed deep-seated wounds that had long festered beneath the surface. Yet amid the chaos, Elise sensed that the truth had finally emerged from the shadows. With the evidence now in the hands of the authorities, the path toward accountability and healing had been set in motion, a painful, yet necessary, step for the family. In the days that followed, the atmosphere in Elise's suburban home slowly shifted. Warm sunlight filtered through the windows of their living room, where the comforting scent of freshly baked apple pie replaced the bitter memories of the baby shower. Sophie played quietly with her baby cousin Ella, her laughter a small, defiant sound against the backdrop of sorrow. While the red mark on Sophie's cheek had faded, its memory lingered as a reminder of the cruelty inflicted by those meant to protect family. Elise and Cassandra, united by shared pain, began the slow process of rebuilding trust and healing the wounds that had threatened to break them apart. At a modest family gathering in their cozy home, Cassandra and Elise sat together on a worn couch, watching the children play. Cassandra's gentle smile and soft words about Sophie's kindness brought a fragile sense of hope. The shared memories of better times mingled with the promise of a fresh start. Though the scars of betrayal remained, the warmth of genuine connection began to replace the bitterness of the past. Elise reflected on how the pain had given them a chance to redefine what family truly meant: love, respect, and the courage to confront injustice, even when it came from within their own ranks. Over the following months, Elise dedicated herself to nurturing the healing process. Weekly therapy sessions helped Sophie regain confidence and emotional stability, while family conversations, though difficult, opened paths to understanding and forgiveness. Cassandra, too, found solace in reconnecting with those who had always shown her kindness. Slowly, the fractured relationships began to mend, and the toxic influence of Lorraine's actions faded into a distant, painful memory. The promise of new beginnings emerged from the ruins of betrayal, and Elise worked tirelessly to ensure that Sophie and her future would be built on truth and compassion rather than fear and control. At a quiet family ceremony held in the soft glow of an autumn afternoon, Elise unveiled a newly restored photo album, a tribute to the memories that had once been almost lost forever. Compiled from recovered images, including those saved by Katie, the album celebrated the love of Elise's parents and the resilience of the family. As relatives gathered and shared quiet words of support, the ceremony became a symbol of renewal. In that intimate moment, Elise declared that true family was defined not by the cruelty of the past but by the strength and love that allowed them to rebuild, piece by precious piece. In the final analysis, Elise emerged as a beacon of resilience and truth. Though the pain inflicted that day had cut deeply, it also sparked a transformation, a reclamation of her identity and her family's legacy. With Sophie safely in her arms and Cassandra's quiet strength beside her, Elise embraced the future. The shattered remnants of old memories had been pieced together with love and determination, forging a new beginning. As the family gathered for a warm meal and gentle laughter filled the room, Elise knew that while the scars would remain, they had become symbols of survival and hope, a promise that true love would always prevail.